So my name's Corinne and my pronouns are they, them. I'm really proud to be an outside-in artist, a ambassador, and a member of the Midlands Artist Advisory Group with Pamela, who's here as well. Um, so I'm lost my bet now. So I'm a disabled artist and I create photographic self-portraits from this same 2 by 1.5 meter space. So they were created within my bed. And these are some examples of my work from my bedtime story series. So they're a series of black and white photographic self-portraits that I get professionally printed from a place called the Print Space in London. And I'll show you some prints after this presentation that I'll be colouring on. And from bed, I colour them with paints and Posca pens. And I really like to do this because it enables me to add further layers of emotion until the image is born. Because I think that my work has quite a tactile and sensory sort of nature to it. And this year marks my 6th year, spending nearly spending nearly every day confined to bed. This is because of my mental illness and also my physical disabilities. So my only childhood and imaginary friend, her name is Daisy, and she's central to my practice. When I was a child, I didn't have any friends. I was quite ill as a child and also very shy. So Daisy was my only friend. And even as an adult, there's sort of a sense of safety, when I think about Daisy and our friendship when I was younger. So her presence has manifested through my frequent and often obsessive inclusion or depictions of daisy flowers within my work. So that could be real daisies when I'm able to get them, or just I paint daisies on my skin sometimes using a natural body paint. So within this self-portrait, these are real daisies from our front garden. So when it's a nice sunny day, I ask my partner to push our bed nearer to the window so I can sort of peek out the window and look at the daisies on our front lawn, which is really lovely. But I feel really frustrated that I can hardly ever sort of get out there to them because they're so close. And in our back garden, we have, I think I don't know what they're called, but they're really, really big daisies, like the really tall ones. So this picture was taken in 2020. And at the time, I had a little bit more mobility. Now I'm a wheelchair user, but I could get about using a walking aid. So this was the first time I'd been in the front garden in more than a year at that point. And I went out with support of my partner to gather these daisies. And I was only out there for about a minute or so, but I still felt really, really proud of my achievement. So I wanted to take a picture to celebrate, but the experience left me feeling quite fragile. So I included this like fragile tape. And I tend to not use too many different colors when I'm hand coloring work. This is done with acrylic paint. And the colors I use the most are red. And then the colors of the daisies are yellow and white. And then again, a very similar color scheme. So with this piece, I painted the daisies on my skin. I painted them physically on my skin using a natural body paint. And then when I got the printed, I then painted over top of them again. And again, I did that one in the same way. And then this piece, this was done with Posca pens. The little forget-me-nots were done with Posca pens, like a thin sort of nib. And then the fairy door was painted with a watercolor paint. So it's like quite a thin wash over it. And this fairy door, it represents the fairy doors that I would make as a child. I would make them on paper and I'd cut them out and stick them on my bedroom wall. And I'd pretend that they were like portals and I'd pretend to sort of open them. And then I'd enter Daisyland, which was a magical place that me and Daisy created to escape childhood trauma. So using daisies or depictions of them within my work, it really helps me feel close to the nature that I long to be within, and to Daisy, my imaginary childhood friend. So I'm just going to show you an example of an artist who has hand colored this work in case you want to do it. There's lots of different ways that you can hand color. So this is the artist I love the most. I love Yayoi Kusama and Frida Kahlo. And this is a picture of Yayoi when she was much younger. I was going to say she's in a studio, but it looks like she's at a dinner table. It looks like she's just had a tea or something. So I think she's probably done this with marker pens. And Yayoi Kusama is a Japanese artist who's often called the Princess of Polka Dots and the modern day Alice in Wonderland. And her work, probably a lot of you know her already, but her work, it all has one thing in common, and that's dots. When Yayoi was a child, she began experiencing hallucinations, and these always had polka dots in them. So she grew up on a plantation, so there's lots of seeds and pumpkins and different vegetables growing. And one day she was in a field of flowers, and then all of a sudden the flowers started talking to her, and the heads of the flowers were like dots. So as far as she could see, it was just like polka dots, and she called this self-obliterating. So I just wanted to show you the example of Yayoi's work, because there's lots of different ways that you can color your prints, and even something like dots is very effective. So I saw this picture of Yayoi, and this was after I'd taken the pictures of me to color today. And I realized that there were sort of similarities between the way that I place the daisies and the way that Yayoi uses the dots. So you could maybe achieve a similar effect to Yayoi through collage, little bits of paper or something, or you could use Posca pens and do dots. So I think a dot, it does seem very simple when you first think of it, but the way that Yayoi does it is just so effective and really interesting. And again, like the daisy, it's a very simple thing as well. And that's just the last picture that I took of myself to color today. Okay, so thank you for listening. I'll try and stop sharing the screen.